people step up to fill a gap in an organization. And I think it's important to remember that on a good team, it's not about one person. It's about everybody and everybody's contributions being collectively more than the sum of their parts.
Welcome to High Stakes, the podcast committed to demystifying the institutional adoption of blockchain technology. I'm your host, Alex Nwaka, and today we're elevating the Web3 discourse in a series of conversations with industry iconoclasts that are shaping the future of Web3. Now let's get started. Hey, AP, we were chatting, in our previous segment, and, you mentioned that you had some really cool updates on sort of your role and Aleo in general. And so wanted to give you sort of some time and space here to have a little bit of an epilogue, so to speak, on sort of our episode that we had earlier. So with that, I'll sort of turn it over to you to sort of give the update, and really excited for you to sort of tell the world what you're working on and what your plans are.
Yeah, thanks a lot. I guess there's a lot of anticipation that you built right there with that lead in. I appreciate you giving me a chance to kind of share a little bit more. And obviously in the first part of the segment that we recorded, I talked a lot about Aleo and what it is and why I'm excited about it. And, a lot of the reason I'm so passionate about it is I've been in it for 4 years, and it's really been something that I feel very strongly about in terms of a solution to, some of the real world problems that are affecting crypto adoption and I think are maybe blocking crypto adoption. So that said, I joined Aleo as the first employee. I was not a founder. I was at A16Z, as we talked about. I was inspired to join the founding team. And 4 years later, we launched the blockchain. And just to give you a sense on the initial, anyone who's been in crypto is not going to be surprised by this statement. But, the initial date for the Aleo network launch was October of 2021, I believe. And there was, of course, a long winding road from when I joined, when we announced that, to where we are now. I'm very proud that I've been part of this team. I've been very proud to lead this team in multiple capacities, both on this company side, on the lab side as the CEO, and also as the executive director of the foundation. We've reached the point where I'm confident that the ecosystem can continue to grow and succeed without me. And I'm confident in the team of people that I built. And so this is kind of the stage in which I'm going to be stepping back from the Aleo project in a direct day-to-day role. And, I think to me, it was always planned out this way. I never wanted to be a long-term leader for a decentralized network because I think that's antithetical to what a decentralized network is. I'm going to remain on the board of the Aleo Network Foundation. I'm going to be absolutely an advocate for the network generally. And by the way, I'm strongly considering opportunities in the ecosystem to build products and services that I talked about in the last segment. And I think it's a little bit early to say where exactly I'll end up because I'm very much planning to enjoy a little bit of time off. I haven't had much in the last 7 years since I left the Army, but I continue to be very much excited about and passionate for the opportunity that Aleo creates. And I'm proud to have been part of the story, and I'm looking forward to continue to be part of the story, albeit in a different capacity.
I mean, obviously not a decision I imagine that you arrived at lightly. You sort of picked out sort of getting to mainnet launch as sort of like really a key milestone that like made you feel like that's sort of the right, this feels like the right time. What was the hardest part about making the decision? And, are there sort of aspects of, sort of that whole process where you learned some things, not only about yourself, but like maybe even what you want to do next and what could lay in your future?
Totally. I think the hardest part is letting go, because it's been something that's I've, really just been holding in the palm of my hand for so long. And, when you're in a seat like this and you're a leader of any organization, it doesn't have to be a startup, you just start to accumulate consequences of your earlier decisions, just start to accumulate. And you get to a point where, things are almost where you want them to be. You've had to make some sacrifices. You had to make some compromises, but those compromises in your head are going to lead to this big breakthrough, but you're always kind of doing that, right? It's always kind of the same. Like, you're kind of just always trying to make it work. And as a result, it never really feels like a good time, a natural point to leave, right? Because like I even referenced, like, look, I think Aleo, I'm proud that it's mainnet, but there's still obviously much more to do. And it's hard to let go, especially hard to let go given the fact that even though I wasn't a founder, I've definitely invested the time into this that a founder would. And it feels in many ways like part of me. So things I learned along the way. I mean, the biggest thing, and this is kind of the converse of what I just said, is the degree to which people step up to fill a gap in an organization. And I think it's important to remember that, on a good team, it's not about one person, it's about everybody and everybody's contributions being, collectively more than the sum of their parts. And, sometimes as an individual, when your individual perspective, especially as a leader, it can be easy to kind of overweight, I think, sometimes the impact that you uniquely have. Like in the extreme case, people feel like that, the whole world is resting on their shoulders. And if they step away, it'll all fall apart. And the reality is 99 times out of 100, even maybe more, 999 times out of 1,000, that's not true, right? People will adapt, people move on. And when that situation occurs like that, people surprise you in what they're capable of. And I think that's been amazing. I think that's been a really pleasant and fun thing I've learned, but I would say I've more been reminded is that when organizations go through these changes, people step up, people prove themselves. And I'm very excited about the new incoming executive director of the foundation, and the leadership team that he's building. I think it's great. And I think honestly, it's taking the protocol and then, or rather the network and the, kind of the stewardship of the network in a direction that I wouldn't have thought of personally, but I think it's great. I think actually, it's not my idea, but it's the idea that I think is going to drive a lot of value for Aleo going forward.
And then AP, when you think about what's next, and I sort of hear a couple things in sort of your sort of comments. One is, you still remain very much sort of, long crypto. So it sounds like this is just a space that you just want to continue to be in. I can kind of tell the passion around that. I also heard a little bit of, hey, I just had sort of an operating experience, and while I wasn't a founder, I really got thrust into a leadership position. Is sort of a founder position and sort of your next thing something that you're really thinking about and weighing, or is it too early to sort of sense that? Is that something that you feel you're missing, I guess, is maybe the other question.
I think the odds are that I'll want to go and found something of my own. I mean, again, I'm talking about why I left A16Z. I really just enjoy the ownership and the all-in aspect that comes with being a founder, where, you reap what you sow, right? You eat what you kill, whatever metaphor you want, right? I find that very exciting. And if you talk to other founders, including folks, like A16Z, as we talked about, has a lot of people who repeat founders, what they'll tell you is that it's not usually something you can do back to back. Usually people have like a little bit of a break, and I can now totally understand why, because it really is just, there's no limit except what you impose on yourself in terms of the amount of work you can put into it. And it is good to have a balance in life, right? And I have 3 kids. I'm happily married. I live in a place that I would like to enjoy, just like to enjoy being outside. So, but yeah, I think founders is probably what I would like to do. I'd like to start my own thing. I think in terms of area, like cryptocurrency, blockchain is it's a big space. And I think for me, what I'm really interested in is, I think tokens and the currencies themselves are a really essential part of what makes this space decentralized and what enables this feature of permissionlessness. That said, there's all kinds of like baggage that comes with that, right? The most obvious one is that every token has a price. In people's minds, the price tends to become the product more than the actual thing that it powers. And I do feel a little bit of an urge to go in a different direction from that and more towards something that takes these decentralized networks, which are powered by tokens, but then a product that leverages that, but not itself having a token, right? Like something that is empowered by this technology, but not necessarily like requiring another like token launch. There's just like a lot of, like I said, there's just a lot of baggage that comes with that I've done once. It's been cool. You go to Twitter, you can find all the opinions in the world about the Aleo token and its launch. And anyway, like I said, it's a great experience, but I think I'm interested in building something a little more tangible.
It's really awesome. Any sort of like parting words of, your sort of experience at Aleo? I think when we first met, you were the chief strategy officer, then you were COO, then you were CEO, then you were exec director. I feel like since I've known you, you've had a different sort of role every sort of like year or so that I've checked in with you. Anything that you want to say now that just sort of like completely summarizes your experience in some way, shape, or form, or sort of a parting word?
It's been an incredible journey. I mean, this has been the longest single professional experience that I've had. Right? I had multiple jobs in the Army, but I was in the infantry, I was in Special Forces, and I was at Stanford, I was ACZ. Like nothing has quite spanned the same amount of time that I've had here at Aleo. So in that sense, it's been really special. And I think what we've built is truly groundbreaking. And again, I'm extremely proud to be a part of it. I guess what I would say is, I would encourage people out there who are listening who maybe want or have a desire to be founders of something themselves, but don't know if they can do it, I would just encourage everybody to look at my story. I think hopefully I could be an inspiration to some folks who feel like they maybe not qualified. I mean, again, going back to my intro, like I had no tech background whatsoever. I knew nothing about crypto. I knew nothing about the web. I knew nothing about anything in 2016, and I didn't learn everything that I know today in a day, but it's incredible what you can learn and accomplish if you just focus on a goal and make it a long-term goal and do a little bit every day. And I don't think I'm particularly special in terms of a person as an entrepreneur, as a founder. And I think there are many, many other people in the world who I think have great ideas that can be brought to life. And they just need a little bit of a spark of encouragement to just get out there. And I would encourage everybody who is probably, frankly, many, many people out there listening are probably way more qualified than I was when I jumped into Aleo. And I would encourage you, if you have this desire, to explore it, because I think it really is a very fulfilling experience. So that's what I like.
Amazing way to cut it, AP. Where can people find you if they want to contact you or engage with either some of your content, sort of see what you're up to?
Sure. Yeah. Well, I'm a little bit, Twitter is a good, or X, I guess, as we call it these days. I'm a little bit outspoken on various topics of crypto or non-crypto related. A Pruden 08 is my handle on X. And so probably the best way to find me.
Awesome. AP, with that, let's wrap. Thanks for hopping on and congrats on the update, and really looking forward to seeing what you're up to in the near future.
Thanks a lot. Really appreciate the opportunity to be here.
Thank you.
Keep exploring and keep innovating. Learn more at validationcloud.io and follow us on X and LinkedIn to stay connected as we continue to shape Web3 for institutions. This is High Stakes with Alex Nwaka, signing off.